Archangel Michael has a final message for you. Don't miss this. My beloved child. If these words have found you today, do not believe it is merely because you were scrolling or passing time. Sometimes the quietest moments become the doorway to the deepest reflections. Life has a way of placing a message before us exactly when our hearts are searching for hope, even if we have not admitted it aloud. You have carried burdens that few people truly understand. You have smiled when your spirit felt tired. You have encouraged others while secretly wondering who would encourage you. There have been nights when sleep refused to come because your mind was filled with questions that had no easy answers. You have asked yourself, am I moving in the right direction? Will my life ever change? Does anyone truly see what I have been carrying? These are human questions, and they deserve compassion rather than shame. Imagine, for a moment, standing on the edge of a quiet mountain at sunrise. The darkness is beginning to fade. The cold wind brushes your face, and everything is still. In that silence, you become aware of something greater than your fears, a reminder that light always follows the longest night. That is where this story begins. Not with fear. Not with despair. But with hope. For many days, your heart has been fighting battles that no one else can see. Some battles have been against disappointment. Others have been against self-doubt. Perhaps you have felt that every time you take one step forward, life pushes you 2 steps back. Yet even in those moments, you have continued. That matters. Strength is not the absence of struggle. Strength is choosing to keep walking despite it. There are seasons when answers seem delayed. Doors remain closed. Opportunities disappear. Relationships change. Plans fall apart. In those moments it is easy to believe that everything is ending. But sometimes an ending is making room for a beginning that you cannot yet imagine. Take a slow breath. Look back over your journey. Remember every challenge you believed would defeat you. You survived each one. Not because life was easy, but because something within you refused to give up. There is a quiet courage inside you that has been growing with every obstacle. You may not see it yet. Others may not recognize it. But it is there. Today, imagine hearing these words spoken with calm strength. Do not let fear become louder than hope. Fear tells you that tomorrow will repeat yesterday. Hope reminds you that tomorrow has not yet been written. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to choose faith over worry, patience over panic, kindness over bitterness, and perseverance over surrender. Think about the dreams you placed on the shelf because disappointment convinced you they were impossible. Think about the talents you stopped using because someone doubted you. Think about the prayers that seemed unanswered. None of these define your worth. Your value has never depended on applause, success, popularity, or perfection. Your value has always existed simply because you are capable of bringing goodness into the lives of others. There are people you have encouraged without realizing it. There are smiles you created without remembering. There are acts of kindness that continue to ripple outward long after you forgot them. Never underestimate the quiet influence of compassion. The world often celebrates loud victories. But many of life's greatest victories happen silently. Choosing forgiveness. Choosing honesty. Choosing patience. Choosing love when resentment feels easier. These victories shape the heart far more deeply than public recognition ever could. If your path has felt uncertain recently, remember that uncertainty is not proof that you are lost. It is simply proof that you are still walking. Every traveler experiences roads covered in fog. The fog does not remove the road. It only limits how far ahead you can see. So instead of demanding to see the entire journey, focus on taking the next faithful step. One step. Then another. Then another. Eventually the fog begins to lift. Many people spend years waiting for perfect confidence before taking action. But confidence often arrives after the first courageous step, not before it. Perhaps today is your first step. Perhaps today is the day you decide to believe that your future does not have to resemble your past. Perhaps today is the beginning of a new chapter. Not because everything changes overnight, but because your perspective begins to change. Perspective transforms obstacles into lessons. Perspective transforms waiting into preparation. Perspective transforms setbacks into redirections. As the morning light grows brighter across the mountain, notice how the shadows slowly disappear. The light never argues with darkness. It simply shines. Let your character become like that light. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need everyone to understand you. You do not need to carry every burden alone. Simply continue becoming the person you are meant to be. Choose integrity. Choose humility. Choose courage. Choose gratitude. These choices build a life that remains steady even during storms. There will always be voices telling you what you cannot accomplish. Listen instead to the quieter voice that reminds you who you are becoming. Every meaningful journey begins long before anyone else notices it. The seed grows underground before anyone sees the tree. Your growth may also be happening in ways that are invisible today. Trust the process. Trust that every lesson has value. Trust that every season has purpose. Most importantly, never allow temporary disappointment to convince you that lasting hope has disappeared. Your story is still unfolding. My beloved child, remain here with me for a little while longer. Quiet your thoughts, release the weight from your shoulders, and allow your heart to become still. So often, the loudness of fear drowns out the gentle whisper of hope. Yet it is in stillness that courage begins to grow. You have been asking for a sign. Perhaps not with your voice, but with your heart. You have searched for reassurance that your efforts have not been in vain, that your tears have not been forgotten, and that every difficult step has been leading somewhere meaningful. Imagine standing before a great doorway made of light. It is not locked, nor is it guarded. The only thing keeping you from walking through it is your own hesitation. How many times have you doubted yourself just before something beautiful could begin? How many opportunities have you walked away from because fear whispered that you were not enough? Fear often disguises itself as wisdom. It tells you to stay where everything is familiar. It convinces you that taking a chance will only bring disappointment. But growth has never lived inside comfort alone. Every seed must break open before it becomes a tree. Every sunrise begins in darkness. Every river reaches the sea because it keeps moving, even when rocks stand in its path. Your life is no different. The challenges you have faced were never meant to define you. They were meant to shape your character, deepen your compassion, and strengthen your resolve. There have been moments when you questioned your purpose because progress seemed invisible. But remember this. The roots of the strongest tree grow quietly beneath the ground long before anyone admires its branches. Your unseen growth is still growth. Do not measure your worth by how quickly results appear. Instead, measure it by the kindness you continue to show, the honesty you refuse to abandon, and the hope you choose to protect even on difficult days. These qualities are treasures that cannot be taken from you. There will always be people who misunderstand your intentions. There will always be voices that predict failure before you have even begun. Do not let those voices become your own. Replace them with gentler truths. I will keep learning. I will keep growing. I will keep believing that tomorrow can be better than today. These are not empty words. They are commitments that slowly reshape the way you live. As you continue walking, imagine the path ahead becoming brighter with every step. Not because every obstacle disappears, but because your confidence grows stronger. You begin to notice opportunities where you once saw only barriers. You begin to discover strength where you once felt weakness. You begin to understand that patience is not wasted time, it is preparation. Think of the mountain climber. The climb is slow. The air becomes thinner. The journey feels exhausting. Yet every careful step brings the summit closer. If the climber looked only at the distance remaining, discouragement would soon take over. Instead, the climber focuses on the very next step. This is how meaningful progress is made. Not all at once, but faithfully. Step by step. Day by day. Choice by choice. There may be relationships that have changed. Dreams that have taken unexpected turns. Plans that no longer resemble what you imagined. This does not mean your story has failed. Sometimes life redirects us toward places we never would have chosen, only to reveal blessings we never would have found otherwise. Hold on to hope. Not because hope guarantees an easy road, but because hope gives you the strength to continue walking. When kindness seems unnoticed, choose kindness anyway. When honesty feels costly, choose honesty anyway. When forgiveness feels difficult, choose forgiveness anyway. These choices shape the person you become. And the person you become is more valuable than any temporary success. Do not spend your life comparing your journey to someone else's. Every path has its own timing. Some flowers bloom in spring. Others bloom in autumn. Yet each one is beautiful in its own season. So too with your life. There is no benefit in rushing what is meant to grow steadily. Trust that every lesson has a purpose. Trust that every challenge can teach resilience. Trust that every setback can become a new beginning. As the evening approaches, imagine looking back at the road you've traveled. Notice how far you've come. Notice the moments you thought would break you but instead made you wiser. Notice the courage that quietly carried you through. You are stronger than you realize. Not because you never struggled, but because you kept moving despite the struggle. And that quiet perseverance is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. The journey is not over. The next chapter is waiting. Walk toward it with hope. Walk toward it with courage. Walk toward it with the quiet confidence that even when the road is uncertain, every faithful step has meaning. Archangel Michael has a final message for you. Don't miss this. Part 3: The Storm Before the Dawn. This is a fictional inspirational story written for encouragement and reflection. My beloved child, do not allow your heart to become discouraged because the road has been longer than you expected. Some of life's greatest transformations happen quietly, long before anyone can see them. The strongest foundations are built beneath the surface, where no applause can reach. There are moments when it feels as though the entire world is moving forward while you remain standing still. You watch others celebrate milestones, new beginnings, answered prayers, and fulfilled dreams. Meanwhile, you wonder why your own journey seems to move at a slower pace. If this has been your experience, remember this. A delay is not always a denial. Sometimes life is preparing you for responsibilities that require greater wisdom, deeper patience, and stronger character. The waiting season is not empty. It is a classroom where resilience is quietly formed. Imagine yourself walking through a dense forest just before sunrise. The path is dim, and the trees seem endless. You cannot yet see the clearing ahead. Every step requires trust because your eyes can only see a short distance. Then, slowly, the first rays of morning begin to shine through the branches. Nothing about the forest has changed. The path has not moved. The trees remain where they were. The only difference is that the light has arrived. In the same way, hope changes how we see our circumstances. What once looked impossible begins to appear manageable. What once seemed like failure begins to reveal hidden lessons. What once felt like an ending begins to resemble a new beginning. Never underestimate the power of a changed perspective. There are people who will misunderstand your kindness. There are people who may overlook your efforts. There are even moments when you may question your own value because recognition never comes. Do not allow your worth to depend on applause. A candle does not stop giving light simply because no one is watching. Likewise, continue choosing integrity even when no one notices. Continue choosing compassion even when it is not returned. Continue choosing patience when frustration tempts you to give up. These quiet choices shape the person you are becoming. And character is one of life's greatest treasures. Think back to the obstacles you have already overcome. There were days when you believed you could not continue. Yet here you are. You are still standing. You are still learning. You are still capable of becoming someone wiser than you were yesterday. That is growth. Growth is rarely loud. It often happens in ordinary moments. The decision to forgive. The courage to begin again. The humility to admit a mistake. The strength to keep trying after disappointment. Every one of these moments builds a life that can withstand storms. Do not be afraid of new beginnings. Every meaningful chapter starts with uncertainty. No traveler knows every detail of the road before taking the first step. What matters is not having every answer. What matters is having the courage to keep moving. If fear whispers that you are too late, answer it with hope. If doubt tells you that you are not enough, answer it with perseverance. If disappointment tries to convince you to stop dreaming, answer it by taking one more faithful step. You may not control every circumstance, but you always have the power to choose your response. And your response shapes your future far more than your circumstances alone. Imagine standing beside a river. Notice how the water continues flowing around every rock placed in its path. The river does not argue with the obstacle. It simply finds another way forward. Learn from the river. When one opportunity closes, remain open to another. When one plan changes, be willing to adapt. Flexibility is not weakness. It is wisdom. As the sun rises higher, the warmth begins to replace the night's cold. In the same way, gratitude has a quiet way of warming the heart. Take time each day to notice the simple gifts around you. A kind word. A peaceful moment. A lesson learned. A new chance to begin again. Gratitude does not ignore hardship. It simply refuses to let hardship become the whole story. There is still goodness waiting to be discovered. There are still people whose lives will be brighter because of your kindness. There are still dreams worth pursuing. There are still chapters that have not yet been written. Walk forward with confidence, not because every obstacle has disappeared, but because you have grown stronger than many of the fears that once held you back. The path ahead may still contain challenges, but it also holds opportunities you cannot yet imagine. Continue walking. Continue believing. Continue choosing hope over despair, courage over fear, and compassion over bitterness. Every faithful step carries you closer to the person you are becoming. And remember this above all. The darkest hour of the night is never the end of the story. Dawn always comes. The light always returns. And with every new sunrise comes another opportunity to begin again with renewed faith, renewed courage, and renewed hope. My beloved child, you have stayed with this message until the very end, and that alone says something important about your heart. It tells me that, despite every disappointment, every unanswered question, and every difficult season, there is still a part of you that refuses to stop believing. Protect that part of yourself. It is the spark that carries people through life's darkest nights. There will come a day when you look back on the struggles that once overwhelmed you. They will no longer seem like walls standing in your way. Instead, they will become stepping stones that helped you grow into someone wiser, kinder, and stronger. Do not rush through your life wishing every challenge would disappear. Difficult seasons can teach lessons that easy seasons never could. Patience teaches endurance. Loss teaches gratitude. Failure teaches humility. Kindness offered in hardship teaches compassion that lasts. As you continue your journey, remember that true strength is not found in never falling. It is found in choosing to rise each time you do. There will be mornings when motivation feels distant. On those mornings, choose discipline. There will be days when fear whispers that nothing will ever change. On those days, choose hope. There will be moments when anger invites you to become bitter. In those moments, choose forgiveness. Not because the past did not matter, but because your future matters more. Carry peace wherever you go. Speak words that heal rather than harm. Offer encouragement when others feel forgotten. Be patient with those who are struggling, because you know what it feels like to need understanding. The world does not become brighter through grand gestures alone. It becomes brighter every time an ordinary person chooses kindness over cruelty, honesty over deception, and love over hatred. Never underestimate the influence of your daily choices. One encouraging conversation may change someone's entire week. One act of generosity may restore another person's hope. One moment of forgiveness may free both hearts from a burden they have carried for years. You may never know the full impact of the good you do. But goodness has a way of traveling farther than we can see. Now imagine standing on the highest hill you have ever climbed. The storm clouds that once surrounded you have begun to move away. The sky is opening. Remember that dawn followed the longest night. Remember that the river found its way around every obstacle. Remember that the seed grew in silence before it became a mighty tree. Your life, too, is still growing. The future is not written by fear. It is shaped by the choices you make today. Choose to believe. Choose to forgive. Choose to keep learning. Choose to keep loving. Choose to keep moving forward. No matter how many storms you have faced, they do not have the final word. Every sunrise is an invitation to begin again. Every breath is a reminder that another opportunity has been placed before you. Every new day carries possibilities that yesterday could not reveal. So lift your head. Walk with confidence. Let your actions reflect kindness. Let your words bring peace. Let your heart remain open to hope. And wherever your path leads, may you become a source of light for others. Not through perfection, but through compassion, integrity, and perseverance. May your days be filled with wisdom when decisions are difficult. May you find courage when the road is uncertain. May you discover peace even in moments of waiting. May your heart remain thankful for every lesson, every blessing, and every chance to begin again. Above all, never forget this. Your story is not defined by your worst day. It is defined by your decision to rise after every fall. Walk forward with hope. Walk forward with courage. Walk forward with kindness. The next chapter of your life has not yet been written, and because of that, there is still every reason to believe that beautiful things lie ahead.